Penrith Players presents Institute, Destitute, Substitute by Nigel Banks.
Blow winds and crack your cheeks. Rage, blow. Oh, I'm getting too old for this. Who are naked wretches, wheresoe'er you are, that bide the pelting of this storm? Oh, something, defend you from seasons such as this. I can't even remember Leah's words now. Come on, Raina, pull yourself together. Now, is this a village hall I see before me? Any port in a storm? In, fellow, there into the hovel. Keep thee warm. Lights are on, but there's nobody home. Wonder what's in here? One large meeting room, a local community for the use of. Of course, plenty of plastic institutional chairs, as if I haven't seen enough of those in my time. Still, beggars can't be choosers. My weary bones will be glad of a rest. That's better. Oh, the old bellows aren't in a good shape. Maybe take an advantage of a warm room while I can. Better get this wet coat off and dried out. Yeah, I'll do it in a moment. I just need to rest a bit.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
Just a passing stranger. Having a bit of a rest from the elements.
Can't stay here. This hall's always booked for us. Second Wednesday evening every month between 7 and 9:30. Patricia Blenkinsop, our secretary, always block books it at the start of every year. So you'll have to make yourself scarce, I'm afraid.
I see. And for which august body am I to make way, dare I ask?
The WI, of course.
Ah, the Jam and Jerusalem Brigade.
That's such an outdated tag for our organisation. I do wish uninformed people wouldn't keep using it.
Pity. I'm very partial to scones with homemade jam, and Mr. Blake certainly had a way with words. So, no cake and ale this evening then?
Ale? Certainly not.
Sorry, a literary reference. I meant you're not serving up the traditional tea and confections for which the WI is so renowned.
Well, yes, obviously. We will be having refreshments during the course of the meeting. Linda Matthews is bringing a lemon drizzle cake tonight. To die for. Won first prize in the regional baking competition. Light sponge category. And I've made my coffee and walnut cake, which always goes down well. One of my better efforts, if I do say so myself. Gave a slice to hubby to sample. He gave it the thumbs up. Always been my sternest critic. Anyway, never mind all that. You won't be having any because you won't be here. Now, would you kindly be on your way so I can get this room ready, please?
Could I just stay a bit longer? Please? I promise I won't get in the way. I'll just sit in the corner. Or I could give you a hand, if you like, shifting the chairs and that.
I'm perfectly capable of doing it myself, thank you. I have a set routine.
Of course you do.
I beg your pardon?
Nothing. Not important.
Right, well, chop chop, shift yourself.
Okay. Oh, well. No room at the inn. Suppose I'll have to brave the elements. Was it still throwing it down when you came in?
Slackened off, thank goodness. I say, is everything all right?
Oh, I'll be fine. I get a bit short of breath sometimes. Old age catching up with me. What time is it?
Just gone 6:30.
Oh, left it a bit late to get my domestic arrangements sorted for the night.
There's a B&B 100 yards away at the end of the village. Alice Sowerby usually has vacancies midweek this time of the year.
Oh, she may well do. But I fear funds will not stretch to such palatial accommodation.
So where will you spend the night then? Drat. Why is it you can never find the blessed thing till it's too late? I can't make out what she's saying. Signal's very iffy round here. I'll have to call her back. Hi, Norma. Sorry, I couldn't find my flipping phone in time and then your message was indecipherable. Terrible signal as usual. Can you hear me? Great. So what was it you wanted? Remembered the what? No, I haven't. I'm already at the hall setting up. You know me, Norma. Always like to be too early rather than too late. Yes, well, I have been a bit busy today. I do have a day job, unlike some people. No, I'm not suggesting retired folk are lazy. Not in the slightest. It's just that I seem to get lumbered with a lot of the donkey work. Anyway, it's not as though it's vital for tonight's meeting. It'll do for next time. Yes, Judith's picking him up at the station and then driving him here. You're going to entertain him with a glass of sherry in the anteroom while we get the business part of the agenda out of the way. Then you can bring him through so Judith can formally introduce him. He's going to divide his lecture into 2 parts, so we can have the refreshments in between, and he can do a bit of mingling. Yes, I'll get the projector and screen set up once I've done the chairs and put the urn on. No, I'm on my own here. Well, apart from an unexpected interloper. Never mind, I'll tell you later. Okay. Right. Yes. Fine. See you soon. Bye. Bye. Tiresome woman.
Trouble in paradise?
The Lord preserve us from folk with too much time on their hands. She's well-meaning, but really. And talking of time, I need to get on with setting up this room, and you must be on your way.
Ah, yes. The unexpected interloper has to be evicted.
You never did tell me where you're going to stay tonight.
That's because I don't exactly know at this point.
Oh, I get it now. You thought you'd camp down here for the night, didn't you?
Guilty as charged.
This isn't a doss house, you know. It's an amenity for the whole community, and we have very strict rules as to its appropriate use. There was a big to-do last month with a badminton club. Shuttlecocks up in the light fittings, and a sports bra left in the toilet.
How terrible.
The men's toilet. Goodness knows what had been going on. I told Angela Wilford. Committee should ban them for 3 months minimum. But the vicar wouldn't hear of it. enjoys his badminton evenings too much. Still, at least he's agreed to police the behaviour of the other members. So we don't want this place being used as a hostel by any passing
interloper.
Indeed.
And would your sporty vicar echo that sentiment, do you think?
Of course.
Interesting.
Why?
Well, I was just wondering how he squares that sort of philosophy with the Good Samaritan ethic in the Bible. I'm not a religious man myself, but the idea of charity towards one's fellow beings has always resonated with me.
That's not fair. Greg is an extremely kind and caring man of the cloth.
Greg? Don't tell me. One of the new breed. Probably wears sweatshirts with his dog collar and goes in for group hugs.
Certainly not. He does play fast and loose with the liturgy on Sundays, but then I am a little old-fashioned when it comes to these things. But he has thrown himself into the life of our village community since he arrived last year. He's been a real breath of fresh air.
Oh, good for him.
My father always told me that sarcasm is the lowest form of wit. Now I'm just taking these things through to the kitchen. And when I return, I shall expect you to have...
Melted into thin air.
You what? You don't have come out with some strange things. Who is it now? I need to get on. Oh, not her. Hello, Sylvia. What can I do for you? Yes, I'm sorry about that, but I dashed out of the house in such a hurry to get down to the hall. It completely slipped my mind. You're not desperate for it, are you? Well, I can always post it through your letterbox next time I'm passing. Otherwise, it'll just have to wait till next month's meeting, I'm afraid. Look, I'm in a bit of a hurry at the moment. I've still to get the hall set up. We can talk about it later. OK, right. Yes. See you soon. Bye. Bye. I can't wait.
More trouble in paradise.
If
What
you must...
did you forget to cause such ructions out of interest?
It was the prize for last month's edible flower competition. Sylvia Blacklock won it with her frosted marzipan red rose. I thought I had a good chance with my narcissus made out of royal icing in 2 colours. But it was not to be. I think it was her use of cochineal ale for the red colouring that swung it. Brenda Phillips, who was judging, said it was eye-catching and flamboyant. I just thought it looked garish.
And pray, who is Sylvia? What is she?
I beg your pardon?
Is she kind as she is fair?
You're at it again.
It's Shakespeare.
Oh, him. I could never get into him. Probably down to bad teaching in school. But no, kind and fair are not words I would normally associate with Sylvia Blacklock. She's a besom, as my granny used to say. That's maybe why I accidentally on purpose left her prize at home. Make her wait for her undeserved spoils.
What did she win?
A £10 voucher for Hume's.
Hume's?
The garden centre. He hates gardening. Serves her right. Mind you, they sell all sorts in there, so she'll probably spend it on some useless geejaw to add to her ornament hoard. Good job she likes dusting. She's definitely OCD in that department. I've seen her get down on her hands and knees with a pair of tweezers to pick up a tiny piece of carpet fluff. Get a life. Yes, well, must get on, and you need to...
I know. Be on my way.
If you're playing for sympathy by staging a coughing fit, it's not going to work. I've asked you politely to leave. And if you don't comply, I'll be forced to summon the police to evict you.
Oh, that's a bit of an overreaction. I'm not doing you any harm.
Sorry, yes, I had a bad day at work.
I dare say. But there's no need to take it out on me. My day hasn't exactly been a roaring success either. At least you've got a secure home to go to and a warm, comfy bed to sleep in.
For which my husband and I have worked hard to be able to afford. Not scrounging benefits or begging on the streets.
My husband and I? Who are you? The Queen?
Certainly not. I'm no defender of inherited wealth and privilege.
Well, at least we have that in common.
But I don't agree with the nanny state either. I think people should take more responsibility for their own lives and not expect free handouts all the time.
Oh, here endeth the party political broadcast for the nasty party.
I voted for the Greens at the last election, actually.
Now that I would not have predicted.
Just goes to show you shouldn't make snap judgments about people.
The words kettle, pot and black come to mind.
What do you mean? Not again. What is it this time? Judith? Is everything all right? Oh dear, that's a nuisance. Yes, let's hope it's not serious. OK, well, I'll wait to hear from you. No, don't worry. I'm sure it'll be fine. Right. Bye. Bye. Not good.
Yet more trouble in paradise?
The train bringing our guest speaker's been delayed. No clear indication of when it's going to arrive. That's all we need.
Oh, and who is the speaker, if I may make so bold?
Dr. Miles Addison, from the archaeology department at Manchester University. He's a cousin of one of our members. She persuaded him to come up and talk to us about the recent discoveries of Roman and Viking artefacts in this area.
That sounds fascinating.
To some folk, maybe. Not really my cup of tea. Be lucky if I can keep my eyes open. Had a hell of a day at work. But it makes a change from talks about crochet patterns or 100 things to do with a courgette. Now then, I hope you're not going to lower the tone with a cheap innuendo.
Perish the thought, good lady. However, it does beg the question of this wonderful new go-ahead version of the WI you were peddling to me earlier. Sounds much like it was when my dear old ma was a member back in the 60s. At least tell me you did a new calendar like those girls in Yorkshire. You know, the one they made the film about.
No, we certainly did not. I never thought that was a good idea in the first place. And then allowing it to be turned into a film. So degrading.
All in a good cause, though. Plus it opened the door for many other inventive fundraising schemes by other charities.
Oh, yes, it did that all right. I just thought it was a cheap and undignified way to chase publicity. These days, the end always seems to justify the means. If you say it's all in a good cause.
Always helps to be a trailblazer. So it must have raised your profile, boosted your membership.
Not round here. This branch was in danger of folding completely. Only a handful of stalwarts left. It was the building of the new housing development in 2009 that saved it. Big influx of young professionals wanting the rural life, but within easy commutable distance from the city. We moved here a couple of years later. There wasn't an awful lot going on in the way of a social life. Pub had closed down. I came in here to vote once and saw the poster for the WI on the notice board, so decided to come along and see what it was like.
And you've been coming here ever since?
Yes, well, it helped me to get to know folk round here and make some new friends. Give gives me a focus as well as taking my mind off work.
Which is?
Hospital administrator. Not easy these days with the cutbacks.
Oh, indeed.
What about you?
What about me?
Work.
Oh, I'd rather not talk about it.
Which suggests you're either an undercover agent or one of the 1.36 million unemployed in this country.
Ah, my secret is out. Now I will have to kill you.
Not funny.
No, I didn't raise much of a smile when I was made redundant. Forced out, more like. University was looking for ways to save money and I was the easy target. They'd appointed this new HR woman to rationalise staff dynamics, to use the current euphemism. She called me into her office to tell me my services were no longer required, and then offered me this derisory payoff. Apparently, I could have taken my case to the tribunal, but was told, not very politely, that given my poor attendance record in recent years, I wouldn't stand much of a chance, so better take the offer and save everyone's time.
Sounds like good advice. The number of pointless tribunals I've had to attend. But everybody knows their rights these days, so you have to go through the charade.
Huh. You'd prefer a return to the good old days, presumably. No employment protection, healthy working conditions, sick pay. Or going the whole hog and take away our voting rights, starting with women, as they were the last to be granted them a century ago.
Of course not. Don't be ridiculous.
Just flying a kite of innocuous hyperbole. Don't take it to heart.
I mightn't if I knew what it meant. You seem to enjoy talking in riddles.
I take pleasure in being able to express myself using refined, literate language, if that's what you mean.
Ooh, get you.
You prefer to call the proverbial spade a shovel, I presume.
Yes, I flippin' well do.
Well, all right. Try this on for size. My wife died of pancreatic cancer 3 years ago. I had to watch her suffer an agonising decline through bouts of pointless chemo and radiation treatment, side effects of which were often worse than the disease itself. I had to take time off work to take her to hospital and then become a full-time carer. The university was sympathetic to begin with, but after regime change it was made clear to me that I was surplus to requirements.
A tribunal would have taken that into consideration. A decent union rep could have got you an enhanced redundancy settlement, if not a reinstatement.
If I'd still been a union member, maybe. I had a falling out with it some years ago and withdrew my membership. Short-sighted of me, probably. But I don't think the union could have done much to help. The university wasn't going to run my specialist course the next academic year anyway. Not much call for medieval Elizabethan theatre studies in our wonderful postmodern technology-obsessed world.
Yes, well, it's not the sort of thing I'd be signing up for. So I can understand the need for the university to rationalise its resources. Could you not have offered something more relevant?
Ah, yes. Relevant. You mean something like the deconstruction of the pop video, or the socio-economic impact of the soap opera? Oh, you may laugh. Well, those course titles are something very similar were actually on the curriculum. Not really me.
Yes, I can see that. What I don't get is how you've ended up here.
My own fault. I was never any good with money. Shirley's always used to take care of all practical side of things. After she died, I fell into a deep depression and got myself into debt. That's when I stupidly allowed myself to be ripped off by one of those financial scams. Took me to the cleaners. I had to sell my house to repay what I owed.
What about family or friends? Couldn't they have helped out?
Don't have anyone, really. Now Shirley's gone. Nobody close.
No children?
Some from my first marriage. but he emigrated to Australia years ago. Haven't heard from him in ages. We were never close. I've probably got grandkids out there that I've never seen.
That's too bad.
You got kids?
No, I couldn't have any. We did talk about adoption, but it never came to anything. Both of us were focused on our careers, so we put our energies into those and having exotic holidays. We both love to travel. I've got cats instead. I suppose they're my children. I would love to have a dog, but with us both out at work all day, it wouldn't be fair. Maybe when I've retired.
Oh, talk about wishing your life away.
No, you're right. Best foot forward. Count my blessings, or whatever mindfulness cliche you can come up with. Lord, is that the time? Folk will be starting to arrive soon, and I haven't got the place ready yet. Too busy yakking with you. So, if you don't mind, could you be on your way, please?
Right. Would it be acceptable if I use the facilities before I go?
Yes, of course. The gents' second door on the right, down the corridor. I say, what's wrong with your foot? You're limping.
Just blisters. Occupational hazard for the itinerant. These shoes were kindly donated to me when the old ones gave out. But they're a bit tight.
There's a first aid box in the kitchen. There'll be some plasters you can use.
Thank you.
What's your name, by the way? I forgot to ask.
Does it matter? I'll be gone soon, and I don't suppose we'll ever meet again.
I know, but I'm Lydia. Lydia Greenwood.
Charmed, I'm sure. The name's Rayner.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Rayner.
Are you really, though? Am I not an inconvenience? The unexpected interloper who's added to your troubles in paradise? You won't give me a second thought once I've gone. Just another chance encounter best forgotten. I get them every day out on the road.
That's very cynical.
I prefer to call it plain speaking, which is what I thought you liked, isn't it? Excuse me, nature calls.
That's me told. Great. Just what I needed. Hi, Judith. Everything okay? Oh no, you're kidding me. So there's no chance you can get here in time? No, of course, not his fault. Just our luck. Ruddy trains. I'll call Norma and give her the heads up. She can think of something. She is the chair, after all. About time she earned her stripes. Right, thanks for letting me know. I can take my time setting up now. Doesn't matter if we're late starting. Okay, see you later. Bye. Bye. Best laid schemes and all that. What I'd give to be sat at home with my feet up and a nice glass of Chardonnay in my hand. Oh well, better ring Norma and give her the bad news. Hello, Norma. Sorry to bother you. Just to warn you, our guest speaker's been unavoidably delayed. Yes, I know. There's a power line down south of Preston. According to Judith, they're putting on an emergency bus service, but it wouldn't get here till 9:30 at the earliest. So she told him not to bother. It's a shame, isn't it? Never mind. Worst things happen at sea. Yes, we'll just have to reschedule him. Anyway, I just thought I'd give you the heads up, so you can put your thinking cap on about what we do instead tonight. A quiz? Maybe? Or party games? No, perhaps not. I'll leave it with you. No, I'm here at the hall getting the chairs set out, remember? Right. See you soon. Bye, Norma. Bye. That's upped her pulse rate. Now she'll have to come up with something to keep the troops happy after they've scoffed their tea and cake.
I found the first aid box eventually. Not where I expected it to be.
Why? Where was it?
In the fridge.
What? Oh, I give up. Who in their right mind would put it there? Give it here. I'll sort you out a plaster.
I thought you were in a hurry to get the room set up.
Change of plan. Speaker's not coming. His train from Manchester's been unavoidably delayed. He wouldn't get here in time now. So we'll have our normal agenda, followed by the refreshment break. Then sit twiddling our thumbs, making superficial chit-chat, no doubt. Unless Norma Brooks, our illustrious chair, can come up with an impromptu alternative. At least I should be able to get home in good time and have an early night.
It's a shame. It seems fate, or the gods, depending on your creed, have decided otherwise.
Well, God may well work in a mysterious way, but sometimes the mystery's a bit too deep for simple mortals like me.
Yes, there are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in our philosophies.
Did you make that up?
No, that's Shakespeare again. It's a memorable quote for most situations. I mean, he had a working vocabulary of over 30,000 words. That's not to mention the words and phrases he himself invented, many of which are still in common use today.
Really? Such as?
Oh, well, let's see. Accommodation. Belongings. I bet you've used those words hundreds of times. Footfall. A word now so popular in our retail mad society.
Well, you learn something every day. If I'd been told that kind of stuff when I was at school, I might have taken more of an interest. The way we were taught, it just seemed so dry and, well, irrelevant. And talking of footfall, we'd better inspect the damage. Come on, get 'em off.
I beg your pardon?
Your shoes and socks. I want to have a look at those blisters.
I must apologise for the state of my hosiery, not to mention the feet within them.
Yes, a definite aroma of Stilton. Or perhaps a ripe camembert. Don't worry. We'll soon get them fettled. Or should that be fettled?
More like a well-aged gorgonzola, I'd say. My dad always used to say that good cheese should smell of old toes. So if the sock were a piece of cheese, I'd wolf it down.
When did you last eat, out of interest?
I found a half-eaten pasty in a rubbish bin this morning. I don't like pasties. You can't afford to be choosy.
Dear, you must be starving. I'll bring you some tea and cake once I've done your feet.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that would be most acceptable. Apologies again for my dirty feet. I'm afraid personal hygiene is one of the few first things to go by the board when you become a person of no fixed abode. You stop noticing it after a few weeks. But other people don't, if you come in close contact. It's a sure way of acquiring a decent amount of personal space in the public arena, though. Ow!
Oh, sorry. Clumsy me. That must be very tender there. There's some antiseptic cream here. I'll put some on the raw places and then put plasters on for now. It might sting a bit, but sometimes you have to be cruel to be kind.
You realise what you've just said?
I was just apologising for hurting you.
No, I mean, cruel to be kind. That's Shakespeare again. Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 4.
Really? I thought it was just an old saying or proverb that everybody uses.
Well, it is now. But Shakespeare was a chap who invented it over 400 years ago. Now it's passed into everyday usage along with others of his words and phrases. Even the writers of the King James Bible are mainly responsible for creating the modern English language.
I didn't know that. So what else do we say that he invented?
Oh, there are loads of things. Fast and loose. Budge an inch. In one fell swoop.
You're kidding?
No. Beggared all description. All our yesterdays in my mind's eye.
That's amazing.
Oh, I could go on all night about the impact he had on our language. And of course how exciting the theatre was in his day. What it must have been like to go to the Playhouse and see the first ever performance of Julius Caesar. Or the 12th night. To be able to travel back in time.
You're obviously a real expert.
Oh, I don't know about that. I was lucky enough to have a great teacher at school, Dick Wilkinson. He was so passionate about literature, drama in particular. You couldn't help but be infected by his enthusiasm. Sadly, he died young. All that knowledge and experience, just gone. All those other hundreds of pupils he could have passed it on to. Such a waste. I suppose that's what inspired me to become a teacher.
He sounds fantastic. You were lucky. I never had a teacher like that. Ours were either boring or scary. I don't think any of them really liked children. We were just there in the classroom, under sufferance. We were all just waiting for the bell to go.
I know the feeling. I'm afraid I wasn't cut from the same cloth as Wilkie. Didn't take me long to realise that I was never going to be the inspirational sort of teacher. I was more like one of your boring ones.
I'm sure you weren't. I'm already fascinated. I'd love to hear more. I bet you made far more of an impact than you realise.
Well, I did once bump into this chap, Roger. Roger Parkinson, his name was. I didn't recognise him at first because he was middle-aged and balding. He'd been one of my first seminar groups. Apparently he was there by default. He'd signed up to a completely different course. Due to some administrative cock-up, he ended up in my class. He was all set to walk out, he told me. It was something I said, a joke I made perhaps, that caught his ear and made him stay. And when he left college, he went on to drama school and became an actor. He never became a star, but he carved out a solid career doing theatre mainly, with the odd small roles in TV dramas and films. He thanked me for opening a door into a wider world, as he put it.
Well, there you are then. I'm sure there have been many others you've inspired as well.
Yeah, I doubt it. I think the students who did well on my courses probably did so in spite of my teaching, rather than because of it. In later years, I found myself just going through the motions. But also the whole ethos of education has changed. Well, learning wasn't seen as a worthwhile end in itself. It had become merely a means to an end, a passport to a qualification and then a well-paid job.
You can't blame young people for being aspirational. Is that the right word?
Yes, it's very much the in word with all our politicians. Trouble is, many of the students I found myself dealing with latterly had unrealistic aspirations. And they weren't really interested in the concept of education. One meaning of which in the original Latin is to lead out. Well, nowadays students seem incapable of taking on information unless it's in bite-sized chunks. Preferably with visual illustration and a musical backing track.
Oh, I know that one. The number of times some DHSC wonk has come to give us the latest tablets from on high about managing budgets, i.e. cutting services, but making it sound as though patients, service users, are getting more, not less. They'll give this PowerPoint presentation, all singing, all dancing, with fancy highlighted text and all the latest acronyms on screen. And they're just reading out what's there to see. And you think, I bet you're getting paid more than I earn in a month for this. No wonder the NHS is in such a bad state. I'm sorry about that. Bad day at the office.
Yes, it often seems as though the lunatics have taken over the asylum.
We sound like a real couple of old fogies.
Oh, you're not old. Well, not compared to me.
I feel old. Old before my time. The world changes so fast. You can't keep up. I find myself wishing I could just jump off the treadmill, go and live in the Orkneys, or somewhere like that, where it's still relatively unspoilt.
I tried that back in the early 70s.
What was it like?
Not all it was cracked up to be. Living in a commune in a giant teepee in the middle of Wales, getting your head together with like-minded flower people sounded great. All very right on. The reality of being miles from the nearest shops and the sheer discomfort of being cold and wet most of the time rather took the gloss off the idol. It only lasted 3 months and then I went back to the real world with my tail between my legs.
So, you're an old hippie.
Yeah. And ironically, the wheel has turned full circle.
How do you mean?
Well, I suppose I'm an old-age traveller now.
It's not right. You shouldn't be in this position. A man of your education.
I'm afraid it's harsh economic reality and the decline of the welfare state decree otherwise. You'd be surprised how many similar stories of folk being made homeless I've come across in my travels. The situation's only going to get worse if a government committed to cutting back on social care. Well, you'll know all about that.
Yes, unfortunately. So, how do you see your future?
I don't. If nothing else, my situation has taught me to live in the now. I don't make plans. Just day-to-day survival. My perspective on life's completely changed. Small victories like a free hot meal or a bed for the night are giant bonuses. All those things one took for granted in previous existence.
Of course. Which reminds me, I'll go and get that tea and cake for you.
Oh, thank you. That's much appreciated.
I've just had a thought. It may be totally out of order, but how would you feel about being our guest speaker tonight? Now that Dr. Addison's not coming. You could talk about Shakespeare and the language he invented. The things you were telling me about. I'm sure our ladies would be fascinated.
Oh, I don't know. I'm a bit out of practice.
Oh, you won't need to worry. You'll get a very friendly reception.
Well, if you're sure. I could talk about the playhouses in Elizabethan times and what it was like to go to the theatre in those days.
Oh, they'll love that. We've got a fair few drama queens in our ranks.
Oh, I'm looking forward to meeting them already. I'd better start thinking about what I'm going to say. My brain works better if I stand up and pace around. I'll put my shoes and socks back on.
Not those socks, Mr. Rayner. I think they've had it. There'll be some in the lost property basket. They may not be a matching pair, but at least they'll be dry. I'll go and see what I can find and bring you your tea.
Oh, things are looking up. Now, how shall I begin? How about... Friends, Romans, WI ladies, lend me your ears. I come to praise Shakespeare, not to bury him. The evil that teachers do lives after them. The good is often interred with their bones. I am, of course, paraphrasing one of the most famous speeches in the Bard's canon, second only on the playlist, probably after To Be or Not to Be, in Hamlet. Not bad for an opening gambit. Then what? My intention this evening is to give you some insights into the life and times of our most illustrious poet and playwright, by means of some anecdotes and quoted excerpts from his plays and sonnets. Oh, so far so good.
Here we are. 2 socks. One red, the other green.
Oh, very fetching.
I just had another thought. One of our members, Gillian Kay, is a county councillor. She's on the housing committee. Very genuine, public-spirited lady. I could ask her about your situation, if you like. If she can't do anything herself, she'll certainly know someone who might be able to help you.
Oh, that's much appreciated.
Right. I'll just get you tea and cake.
Let's get these socks on. Which way? Oh, red on the left foot, I think. Must get my political allegiances correct. Okay. Oh, a good fit, these socks. Shoes are still a size too small, though. At least I've got plaster on my blisters. Bit of protection. Oh, God. Oh, that it should come to this. Sitting in a village hall in the middle of nowhere, dependent on the kindness of strangers. Oh, that's another thing, Rayner. You've become this rattlebag of quotations and literary allusions that count for diddly squat in the real world. Why didn't you heed your dad's advice and learn a practical trade instead of going into academia? Oh well. Too late now.
Tea up, Mr. Rayner. I wasn't sure if you take sugar, so I brought it anyway.
Oh, no, I don't, thanks. Call me Colin.
I'll leave you to it for a bit, Colin, if you don't mind. I need to set out the crockery and put the urn on.
No problem.
Oh, and you don't need to worry about a bed for tonight. Or tomorrow night, for that matter.
Oh, how come?
Because you'll be coming home with me. My husband Derek and I will be glad to have you as our guest.
Oh, well, that's very kind of you. Oh, my heartfelt thanks again, Lydia.
You're very welcome, Colin.
Oh, wonder how many goodly creatures are there. How beauteous mankind is. Oh, brave new world. Now, let them eat cake. It be now. is not to come. If it be not to come, it will be now. If it be not now, yet it will come. The readiness is all. Hamlet. Act 5. Scene 2.
I was just thinking, we could go into town tomorrow and get you some new clothes. I think the ones you're standing up in are past their sell-by date. Colin? Having 40 winks, are we? Don't blame you. You must be worn out. Colin? Colin?
You have been listening to Institute, Destitute, Substitute by Nigel Banks. The part of Colin was played by Dennis Brand, and the part of Lydia by Helen Reid. Music by Pete Moran, directed by Mike Head. This was a 1-5 Events production, supported by Create to Connect.